Hey, Clear Lake lovers, Ross England with Clear Lake Guide Service. I'm going to give you today's report for tomorrow morning, which is Friday. Today is July 11th, and fishing report is going to start sounding a little bit on the boring side, a little bit monotonous. Because the fishing's good, it remains good, the conditions remain good on the lake. So let's talk about conditions first. The conditions here are pretty much 73 to 75 degree water temperature, which is excellent for this time of year. Part of that is because of the cooler temperatures we've had the past week. It's made the fishing really nice, but unfortunately on Clear Lake, colder temperatures or cooler temperatures in the summer always mean wind. So the upper end of the lake has been very fishable almost all day long. The bottom end of the lake, Rattlesnake Arm, Redbud Arm, it's breezy down there. It comes and goes, but each day this week it's gotten a little bit less windy, much more manageable. Those of you that have the Ultrex motors, something that you can spot lock on and still be able to fish an area without fighting your boat, it's fine. Those of you that don't, you got to work at it. Unfortunately, it's a kind of wind down there that the guy in the back of the boat is going to be the one who's got the best shot and catching most of the fish. So that's talking about the wind, that's talking about the temperature, talking about water temperature. Watercolor still looks pretty darn good. I'm starting to see some algae blooms pop up. It's not really matted up on the surface, although I got as far down this week as just above Redbud, we'll call it, and some of that was starting to get a little bit slimy right up against the bank. It was a pretty thin layer and didn't affect the fishing at all. So water conditions are looking good. Very few areas offshore where you have mats that you can fish around. There's plenty of areas that still have grass growing. It's just you can't see a lot of it on the surface yet. Still hasn't happened. The lake level just hasn't gotten down to that point. So now let's talk about the fishing. Oh, one last point on the conditions around here. Last week was nuts with 4th of July. This week it was like everybody left and had something else to do. So it's been a really fun week of fishing out here already. Let's talk about our fishing. We've done trips during the course of the week. We've had our two best fish this week were 6.5 and a 7. One was on topwater, one was on a plastic worm. Been actually doing pretty darn well. I mean, the slowest day we had was one guy catching 20 fish. So that's not bad fishing at all. Been running anywhere between 20 and 35 fish a day. Just depends on how many people are fishing, how long a day that they're fishing, how they want to fish. Sometimes folks don't want to fish the way that we want them to fish. They want to catch them their way. And I get that. Sometimes it skews the numbers. So the fishing still is good. I think there's probably a crankbait bite. I haven't honestly tried it. There should be, because there's fish chasing. You can't see them, but you can see them on your meters where they're chasing around, and they're located around bait. All the fish that we've caught this week, for the most part, with the exception of a few topwater fish in the morning, and I do mean a few because the topwater bite's been kind of a slow thing for me. One of our better fish was on it this week, but I don't think we had a single day that we had more than 10 bites in the morning. So I wouldn't call it red hot by any stretch of the imagination, but every day that we've tried it, we have caught fish. So topwater, I'm the first to admit I'm not a jig fisherman. I hate it. The only time that I really like fishing a jig is when they're just smacking the living snot out of it. I picked up a jig today and just made some oddball casts around areas that we were fishing while my guy was was fishing, and I picked up 4 fish today on a jig, so it's got to be a red hot, wide open jig bite if this dummy can catch 4 fish on a jig. And I only fished it for probably an hour, so the jig is working. I think the frog bite is a deal that's kind of an early and late thing, but I'm not 100% about it because I'm not throwing them. Let's just leave it at the fact that the fishing is very good. Again today, we picked up another 8-pound catfish just in the middle of all the bass that we were catching. It's, I think, the 3rd catfish that we've caught this week. They've all run between about 7 and 11 pounds, just really, really good fish. And we've caught a couple of incidental crappie here and there. Just fishing the way we're fishing. You know, I'm not targeting cats right now. I'm not targeting crappie, and we're still catching them. There's a lot of them around. So there's your fishing report. We'll post this thing tomorrow, and we'll get back to fishing this next week. A couple guys came up and said hi to me this week. Again, I really appreciate that. I had a really fun trip this week, and a young kid that the first time he fished with me, he was probably 7 or 8 years old. His grandmother came out with him for a while. The first time, and then the next time, cut him loose with me. And I had him back this week. He's one who caught a 7-pounder. In fact, he caught a 7-pounder and an 8-pound catfish, so he kind of bookended this day. Really enjoyed that, Michael. It was great spending some time with you this week. Good to see you've grown into such a good kid, 20 years old, trying to go through medical school. Keep those dreams and wishes high. I hope you make it. Caleb, we're going to see you here pretty soon. Clear Lake Guide Service on Facebook, Clear Lake Guide Service on YouTube, and Clear Lake Guide Service on the internet. All the above. Hope to see you soon. If you're not here, you're missing a fun bite.